What's going on YouTube? It's Private KJ, Shot Callers Podcast, back here with another daily NBA video. Today we're going to be discussing the Boston Celtics and their struggles so far this season and what the heck is going on in Boston. We all thought that they would be a playoff team, at least like a top 5 seed, and it just hasn't gone that way. I remember I made a video literally like 3 days ago talking about how when they were the 5 seed, I thought they were at least a lock to make the playoffs, and that is just not the case right now, and I'm very concerned that they will miss the playoffs. The weird part about it is that they had 2 All-Stars, Tatum and Jaylen Brown. And for as much as people want to talk about the winning record is like important for All-Stars in order to make it, yet they had 2 All-Stars make it. So maybe the NBA needs to do something about that, because it seems like they may have lied about that, knowing that a lot of other players got snubbed for one of those 2 players. I'm not saying that Tatum and Brown did not deserve that, but it's just a little ironic how they have not been that great this season, and yet those 2 made the All-Star teams over other players. Now, like I said, though, this is not talking about the All-Star video. We're here to talk about their struggles and what they can do to fix it potentially. And we're also going to discuss how Tatum, in my opinion, hasn't done his job as a leader of this team. So like I said, if you enjoyed this video, don't forget to leave a like and subscribe. Turn on post notifications so you never miss a beat. If you're here for the very first time on this channel, hi, my name is Kyler, Private KJ. I upload twice a day, every single day. Yesterday, I did not do my recaps because it was the first day of March Madness. I just kind of wanted to check in on some NCAA games. And yeah, but we're watching all 5 games tonight, and I will be able to do my recap tonight, so stay tuned for that video. But let's just kick right into this video. So I'm first going to talk about Kemba Walker, and the comparison with Kyrie Irving, because I think this is so key and important for how to start this video. Because isn't it ironic? Isn't it just so funny how the media portrayed Kyrie as the issue with this team? And yet, looking back at it now, it's just so funny to me, because Kyrie and the Nets are the current 2 seed, about to be the 1 seed if they keep winning games like this. I understand that they are on a super team and all that stuff, but the media portrayed it as he had trouble meshing with his teammates, and they clashed a lot, didn't have the chemistry there, the leadership was not there. And as soon as Kyrie leaves, the same thing is happening over and over again. And no one wants to talk about that. That's just one thing I want to mention. It's just a little frustrating because I am on Kyrie's side, how he gets unnecessary flock by the media. Sometimes, not all the time. Some of it I can kind of understand. But Kemba Walker. So the idea of when they signed Kemba Walker was that he was going to provide around 80% of what Kyrie did, because they were the similar type of player where they weren't the too great on defense, but they were a shot-creating, score-first point guard that can create their shot in a variety of ways, a 3-level scorer. And everyone expected that Kemba Walker would be at least 80% of that, at the bare minimum. Now, Kemba Walker has dealt with injuries, and I completely understand that. So at some points, he has gotten a pass. But it has gotten to a certain point that based on their 4-year, $100 million contract, it was way more than that, by the way. I think it was around 150, close to 150 million due to incentives as well. I have to go look back at the contract, but based on the contract that they gave him, they need more production out of him and other departments of for that team, and he just has not provided that. Now, like I said, injuries played a role in that, and there's nothing that you can do to predict injuries. But Kemba is starting to get up there in age, and they need to recognize that towards the tail end of his contract. And I think once he hits his final year of the contract, we can expect them to move Kemba as a salary dump, or we'll see moving on to the last couple of years of the contract. But next up, I want to talk about Tatum. That was just a quick one for Kemba Walker. There's not much for me to talk about because he has improved throughout the season, so I will give him credit for that. Tatum. So Tatum is the clear-cut best player, and honestly, there was a debate at the beginning of the season that Jaylen Brown was honestly better than him. But Tatum, I want to talk about in the leadership role, because it seems like there's this stigma that you can debate that Marcus Smart is the kind of vocal leader of the team. Now, there's nothing wrong with that, because Smart is the glue guy. Smart, although is not an all-star level player, his impact on the game is basically all-star level, and that's something that you cannot deny. His defense that he brings, the intensity, the vocal leader, it's like a Draymond Green-esque type player where he might not have the numbers for an all-star, but he sure damn well has the impact of one. But Tatum, it just seems like there's too many games where I'm seeing too much, I want to call it like too many shots that he's taking to where I'm just thinking like, bro, you can get a better shot or you can pass up to a better teammate. And that's the weird part about it, because there's so many times where I'll see him settle for a mid-range jumper or turn around mid-range or pull up mid-range, and it's not consistent because he got better. It was really bad his rookie year. Or settle for a pull-up three, and I'm thinking to myself, bro, you're 6'8", 200-something pounds, bro. Get to the rim, okay? He does not get to the free throw line a lot, and that's going to hinder him as an elite scorer. He will never reach the levels of a James Harden. I'm not saying it's easy, and no one really can reach the levels of James Harden. It's damn near impossible. I understand that, but you're telling me right now, based off of the potential that we've seen from Jayson Tatum, that he can't raise his scoring to at least 30 points per game? Because I personally think he can. I think he needs to get to the free throw line more, and I think he needs to invite contact more, and that's his main issue, because that's the reason why his efficiency isn't higher in this league. And too many times he's satisfied with settling for jump shots, and that's just an aggression thing. I understand that not all players can just develop that overnight, and I understand that. But at this point in time, if you're asking me the problem with Jayson Tatum, that is one of his problems, okay? Defensively, he's still a really good forward. He can switchable, guard 2 through 4 for the most part. I do think his playmaking still can get better. I think there's a ceiling on his playmaking that he has not tapped into yet, but I have yet to see that, because it's just like weird. Sometimes he'll whip out these really nice passes, and I'm thinking, okay, well, there's some potential here, and it's just like I just have yet to see that on a consistent basis. Mix him with the secondary ball handler, Jaylen Brown. He's literally a great two-way player. Reminds me of young Paul George, basically. And every year, Jaylen Brown gets better. I am not worried about Jaylen Brown because he's expected to be the second best player on this team, and that's the role that he has embraced, and albeit that there are a lot of times that he has been the best player on the team. And it just seems like at the end of the day, what this team is missing is a playmaker, or not even a playmaker, because I don't even think they need a dominant ball-handling playmaker. I think they need a player that can distribute the ball to other players and get them involved. And I don't want to say Ricky Rubio, because that is the playmaker that always comes to mind, but because Rubio can't exactly shoot that well, and I think he's a little bit too ball dominant for this team. I don't know why I can't really think of like just like a playmaker that comes off the mind. Lonzo Ball, I don't think is the right time, because he kind of fits that mold of that probably needs the ball a little bit too much. But basically, leave it down in the comments so I can share with you guys my thoughts. I'm just kind of making this video real quick because I have to get to work, so that's my fault. But like I said, that type of point guard, and I'm not saying Kemba Walker can't be that guy, because I just don't think that at this stage in his career, that's the type of player Kemba Walker is. And there's nothing wrong with that. Kemba Walker is a good player, but based off of what I've seen from Boston, that's what I think they could use. Now, that is also not their main problem. Based off of everything I just said about Jayson Tatum, Kemba Walker, Marcus Smart, Jaylen Brown, that is not their main problem. The two biggest issues, in my opinion, based off the fact that they're in the Eastern Conference. One, when they play the elite teams in the East, Tice and Tristan Thompson will not get the job done against Joel Embiid, Giannis, Sabonis, Miles Turner, players of that caliber, big men and big like center-type players that can just dominate the paint, and that's going to be an issue because they are undersized, and in an Eastern Conference in the playoffs, that when the game is slowed down, I'm not sure that they will have the matchups, because every game I swear I've seen Giannis and Embiid drop 30 or 40 points consistently on really good efficiency, and that's going to be a downfall for this team. Now, Tice I actually think is an underrated player. He's still a switchable player, but there's just levels to this. In the East, no one can guard an Embiid. I understand that, but you got to at least have the players to at least give him some sort of fit. Like, I remember the Toronto Raptors back in this year, in the playoffs that Kawhi won the championship, they had plenty of, not big men, but enough bodies to throw at Embiid to, like, at least slow him down, and that was a factor in that series. I just don't think Boston has that. Now, back to the second thing they need. Another problem that they have is their lack of depth. Their bench unit is atrocious, okay? And so at this point in the stage of the year, they need to figure out if they want to move towards the future or win out, because there's too many times where I'll see Peyton Pritchard play 15 to 17 minutes one game and then 30 minutes the next game. I think Peyton Pritchard and Robert Williams, especially those two players, need to have a consistent minute production off the bench in order to raise their ceiling, raise their I can't even think of the word right now. It's making me really annoyed. Just make sure they get in the game so that they can produce on a consistent basis, whether that's rebounding from Robert Williams, whether that's offensive board crashing, whether that's running the floor. Robert Williams and Peyton Pritchard need to play consistent minutes, and that is my personal opinion, because at the end of the day, they are not getting better. Raise their confidence, that's the word. Their confidence is not going to get any better if they think that they're going to be consistent rotation players and then find out that they're getting benched for players such as Jeff Teague. Like, Jeff Teague should not be playing right now. Naismith, I'm not really sure how I feel about him, because I don't think Naismith has really been that impressive this season. I don't think he's deserved the minutes anytime, and maybe he's just not ready for that, and that's okay because he's a rookie. He's a young rookie. I think he has some potential. So I can understand not playing him all that much. I don't think he's really quite ready for that. But like I said, I think Robert Williams and Peyton Pritchard are ready for some sort of consistent minutes, and they need to figure out whether they want to go in a veteran style role with Semi Ojeleye, Grant Williams, who aren't bad players, by the way, Jeff Teague, who has been terrible this year, Tristan Thompson, or go with the younger players. And if you were to ask for my opinion, I think you can do a mix of both. I just think that the younger players need to be prioritized first, because at this point, they're not going to get anywhere in the playoffs, and I think they need to recognize that. But what I do think they can do is at least make the playoffs with still getting Robert Williams and Peyton Pritchard in the rotation. Let's say 20 to 25 minutes a game. There's nothing wrong with that. I think that's perfectly enough minutes to get them in the playoffs. I do think Jeff Teague needs to not be playing. I think Grant Williams and Semi Ojeleye are too inconsistent of a shooter to be playing as much as they are. When they're on, go ahead, slide them in there for 25 minutes because they deserve to be on. But I do think that 20 minutes to 20 minutes for Ojeleye and Grant Williams are enough. I do understand that they provide backup forward and switchability on the perimeter, something that Pritchard and Robert Williams are unable to do. I also understand that Robert Williams isn't exactly the smartest player right now. He is still young, learning the game of basketball. He does have a lot of defensive collapses on that time. He'll have missed rotations, missed assignments. Sometimes he just isn't kind of quick enough on his feet to guard smaller players. But the one thing he does have is athleticism, which I do think they need at the big man position a little bit more, even though Tristan Thompson still got some bounce in him. I do think that he brings a separate element to that. I do think his rebounding is really good. He runs the floor really well. And that's something that you can appreciate from Robert Williams as a young player. So that was kind of my take on the Boston Celtics. They are in a big heap of trouble, though. They need to turn this around. Otherwise, they might not make the playoffs, okay? With that said, don't forget to leave a like and subscribe. Turn on notifications so you never miss a beat. With that said, Private KJ out.